Gopinath Vallabha Giri Varadhari Jaya Giri Varadhari. Slow it down, please. Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Giri Varadhari. Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Anjana Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Anjana Yashoda Nandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Manachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Hari
Vishnupad Marmam Sabri Vidakacharya Astodar Srimad Om Vivaya Charana Arvinda Bhakti Shri Rupa Shri Sanatana Shri Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dāsa Raghunath Shri Sad Goswami Prabhu's Ki Amacharya Shri Lahari Das Thakur Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Namesake Aho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktaminda Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Shri Govardhana Ki Rajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Navadvip Maya Dham Ki Shri Kshetra Jagannatha Puri Dham Ki Gangamai Yamunamai Ki Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. Praise to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Ojayam Mudirayet Nastapreshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 11, entitled Svayambhuva Manu advises Dhruva Maharaj today, text 29. Tam Enam Gatmani Mukta Vigrahe Yapasritam Nirgunam Ekam Aksaram Atmanam Anvicha Vimuktam Atmatrig Yasmin Idam Vedam Asat Pratiyate. Tam Enam Anagatmani Mukta Vigrahe Yapashritam Nirgunam Ekam Aksharam Atmanam Anvicha Vimuktam Atmadrig Yasmin Idam Bedam Asat Pratiyate. Tam Enam Anagatmi Tam Enam Angatmani Mukta Vigrahe Yapashritam Nirgunam Ekam Aksharam Atmanam Anvicha Vimuktam Atmatrig Yasmin Idam Bedam Asat Pratiyate. Tam Enam Nirgunaman Angatmani Mukta Vigrahe Yapashritam Nirgunam Ekam Aksharam Atmanam Anvicha Vimuktam Atmadrig Yasmin Idam Bedam Asat Pratiyate. Tam him, Enam, that Anga, my dear Dhruva, Atmani, in the mind, Mukta Vigrahe, free from anger, Yapashritam, situated, Nirgunam, transcendental, Ekam, one, Aksharam, the infallible Brahman, Atmanam, the self, Anvicha, try to find out, Vimuktam, uncontaminated, Atmadrig, facing towards the Supersoul, Yasmin, in which, Idam, this, Vedam, differentiation, Asat, unreal, Patiyate, appears to be. My dear Dhruva, please therefore turn your attention to the Supreme Person, who is the infallible Brahman. Face the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your original position, and thus, by self-realization, you will find this material differentiation to be merely flickering. Please repeat. My dear Dhruva, please therefore turn your attention to the Supreme Person, who is the infallible Brahman. Face the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your original position, and thus, by self-realization, you will find this material differentiation to be merely flickering. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The living entities have three kinds of vision, according to their positions in self-realization. According to the bodily concept of life, one sees differentiation in terms of various bodies. The living entity actually passes through many varieties of material forms, but despite all such changes of body, he is eternal. When living entities, therefore, are viewed in the bodily concept of life, one appears to be different from another. Lord Manu wanted to change the vision of Dhruva Maharaj, who was looking upon the Yakshas as different from him or as his enemies. Factually, no one is an enemy or a friend. Everyone is passing through different types of bodies under the laws of karma, but as soon as one is situated in his spiritual identity, he does not see differentiation in terms of this law. In other words, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, the perfection of renunciation, conclusion, text number 54, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma na sochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. A devotee who is already liberated does not see differentiation in terms of the outward body. He sees all living entities as spirit souls, eternal servants of the Lord. Dhruva Maharaj was advised by Lord Manu to see with that vision. He was specifically advised to do so because he was a great devotee and should not have looked upon other living entities with ordinary vision. Indirectly, Manu pointed out to Dhruva Maharaj that out of material affection, Dhruva thought of his brother as his kin and the Yakshas as his enemies. Such observation of differentiation subsides as soon as one is situated in his original position as an eternal servant of the Lord. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unlidam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stabinam Nena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadam Ayam Didati Sva Patantikam Mandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagujatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Dam Sajivam Advaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakavitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surito Pangor Mama Mandama Tergati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano Dibyad Vrindaranya Kopa Drumada Srimad Ratnagara Singhasanastho Srimad Radha Shilagovinda Devo Vistalabi Savyamano Smarami Sriman Rasa Rasarambi Bamsi Bhatatati Tatasti Taha Karshan Venus Vanar Gopir Gopinatha Shriye Stuna Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasandubhya Evacha Nidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rāma Rama Rama Hare Hare Tam ena mangatmani mukta vigrahe vyapasritam nirgunam ekamaksharam atmanam anvitya vimuktam atmadrig yasmin idam vedam asapratiyate. My dear Dhruva, please therefore turn your attention to the Supreme Person, who is the infallible Brahman. Face the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your original position, and thus, by self-realization, you will find this material differentiation to be merely flickering. Living entities have three kinds of vision according to their positions in self-realization. According to the bodily concept of life, one sees differentiation in terms of varieties of bodies. Everyone is looking at others based on their material identity. They're having an election this year, coming soon in November, and such things as how are we going to get the vote of the, say, Latin population, or the African American vote, or the Irish or Italian, what would appeal to them, for example. So according to the bodily concept of life, one sees differentiation in terms of varieties of bodies. In the beautiful Vedic system of Sanatana Dharma, we look upon the different bodies that one may inhabit as, and have a foundational basis of actual yukta vairagya, practical utilization of that body that you're in right now, in such a way, Prabhupada would use the term, best use of a bad bargain. You don't negate the fact that you're in the body of a man or a woman, thinking that one is better or worse than the other. One thinks that this body is good and the other body is bad. Or if one is in the other body, thinks that this body is good and that body is bad. But ultimately, everything is utilized for the purpose of self-realization. This human body is compared to a strong boat, and with the expert guidance of the captain, the spiritual master, one can use this boat to ply across the ocean of material existence. So when you accept the material body in that analogous way, then a very great spiritual miracle takes place, that you cross the ocean of material existence. This human body is a very valuable gift. Manusya Janmapaya Radha Krishna Nabhajiya. Although I have achieved this very rare human form of life, Narottam Das Thakur sings and prays, because I have not, of course he is feeling himself in all humility to have fallen short of the goal, while at the same time he is an exemplar of achieving that goal of life par excellence. I have not worshipped Radha and Krishna, and thus this human form of life, without engaged in Radha Krishna bhajan, I've simply wasted my life. Here we see Swayambhuva Manu advising Dhruva Maharaj You are a great devotee. You should not see others with this differentiation. My family members, these are my people. These yakshas, they are the evildoers. They are my enemy. The devotee, we glorify the devotee of the Lord as being an ocean of mercy, an ocean of compassion. One time, Prabhupada's GBC, during Prabhupada's presence, was going to pass a resolution. It was about, if I can remember, husbandless women with children in the temple. And the resolution was to be passed that they cannot stay in the temple because it is a burden or whatever they were thinking. And Prabhupada heard the resolution. It was very silent and serious and perceivably sad, upset. And he said, as for me, I cannot, after coming to Krishna consciousness, see that they are driven out or left unprotected, that they have this human form of life. And Prabhupada would say, and also Srila Bhaktisiddhanta demonstrated, that after coming to Krishna consciousness, to discourage or to not do one's level best to retain those who have come to Krishna's shelter is the greatest tragedy. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was to attend the opening of a Gaudiya Math, installing the deity in a particular city, and there was one brahmachari who had fallen into immoral behavior with a lady and broken his brahmachari vows. And the disciples, the godbrothers, had driven him out, humiliated him in disgrace. And when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was not informed of this, and when he came to the temple, you know, all the arrangements were there, and it was very nice. The devotees were praising, saying, just see what we've done. This is... And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, where is such and such brahmachari? And then it was explained to him what had happened, perhaps overemphasis on his indiscretion. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, find him. All these arrangements that you've made are minimal compared to this disciple. And you find him immediately. And nobody knew where to go until one remembered, you know, that he had a talent for fixing things, fixing watches. So they went searching all different types of repair shops and watch repair shops in the city, and they found him. And seeing the intensity, the one-pointed focus on his beloved disciple, the other godbrothers realized how, and they just came before, they found him in the working, and said, and with tears in their eyes said, Guru Maharaj is begging you to come back. He said, I wanted to come back, but I felt so humiliated and disgraced that I couldn't do it. So it was a great reunion, and they came, and that devotee was brought back. Jesus Christ on the cross is praying to the Lord, my dear Lord, forgive them. They know not what they do. Perhaps the most intense example of torture and persecution of a pure devotee of the Lord, and yet in that most, how can I say otherwise, horrific condition, he's praying for their forgiveness, that they be forgiven. Because why? They're ultimately pure spirit souls. This is real, non-dual, non-differentiational vision. When living entities, therefore, are viewed in the bodily concept of life, one appears to be different from another. Lord Manu wanted to change the vision. It's interesting, I was getting some realization. This is a perfect thing that this is our mood when we are preaching to people, trying to distribute books. My dear spirit soul, my dear friend, please therefore turn your attention to the Supreme Person, who is the infallible Brahman. Face the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your original position. Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole. Yota, what is the next verse? Yota. Yes. My dear living entity, how long will you stay trapped in the witch of illusion of Maya? An eternal servant of Krishna. So many beautiful songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur glorifying the process of hearing and chanting about Krishna and how that will give you such joy and happiness and bring you to the perfection of self-realization. It is interesting to note that Prabhupada in today's purport has included a very important, powerful, triumphant verse 54 in the chapter conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. To the impersonalist, achieving the Brahma-Bhuta stage, becoming one with the Absolute, is the last word. But for the personalist, or a pure devotee, one has to go still further. To become engaged in pure devotional service. This means that one who is engaged in pure devotional service is already in a state of liberation. So as true as Svayambhuva Manu is encouraging him to Dhruva to face the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his original position. So Brahma-Bhuta, Prabhupada is giving this verse the further deepened purport and ultimate realization. One who is engaged in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord is already in a state of liberation called Brahma-Bhuta, oneness with the Absolute. Hansadutta and Manudwis Prabhus at the 1971 Kumbh Mela in Allahabad were very eager, where Prabhupada was personally there in attendance. They questioned Srila Prabhupada about, is it true that if you bathe in the Triveni at this exact purported time that you will get liberation? Prabhupada said, yes, it is true. But we are already liberated. We've come here to preach Krishna consciousness. And then in another instance, Prabhupada said, they will go through so many austerities and huge penances and so much trouble to realize their spiritual nature, but we will do so simply by eating a rasgula. Without being one with the Supreme, the Absolute, one cannot render service unto Him. Satyabrata Muni is leading us in seeing the amazing position of Krishna's Vrindavan devotees, particularly Mother Yashoda. No one can bind Lord Krishna. No one can control him. No one can tell him what to do. Yet this great devotee, Mother Yashoda, she can chastise this beautiful Bala Gopal for stealing the yogurt and the butter. And Krishna submits to her chastisement, which of course is done out of the supreme perfection of loving attitude. In the absolute conception, there is no difference between the served and the servitor, yet the distinction is there in a higher spiritual sense. In the material concept of life, when one works for sense gratification, there is misery. But in the absolute world, when one is engaged in pure devotional service, there is no misery. Just like Srila Prabhupada wrote in his diary on Gorpranim Day, here in the Upper West Side of New York City in 1966, I'm here without a devotee companion. Just like we have Gorpranim, Janmastami, because we're focusing on Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna, is their birthday, their appearance day, but what is the, so to speak, simultaneous condition of Janmastami? We're with the devotees. It's kind of a time to, okay, the preaching, going out, but this is a devotee association day. I remember one year, I'm going to digress, but this is my personal experience, 1983, and we were at a David Bowie concert in Foxborough, Massachusetts, which is the stadium for Boston where the New England Patriots play football. And it was the most miserable experience of my devotional life. For one, the type of people that attended that concert were as far away from reality as you could possibly imagine. And it was a rainy day, and I'm thinking, what the heck are we doing this for, or what leadership condoned this or directed us to do this, and I'm never going to be absent from a Janmastami ever again, which there's one other instance 4 years later, but that was a better situation, but it was only 2 times. So Janmastami, what does Bhaktivinoda Thakur say? Ekadasi, Janmastami, these days are the mother of devotion for those devotees who know how to properly respect them. So everything in Krishna consciousness is the opposite of misery. So even Prabhupada, he's saying, I'm alone without any devotee companion. But because I'm here, alone without a devotee companion, for the service of the Lord, I feel great happiness. And I don't mind any personal inconvenience on my account. I'm even ready to go to hell if necessary. And practically speaking, the winter of 1965, 1966, in a windowless room, the age of 70, never having experienced the New York City winter, which was one of the coldest and snowiest on record. Walking 3 avenue blocks, 3 regular blocks, one way, times 2 back and forth, round trip, every day just to eat, cook a proper meal and offer it to the Lord, and to take a proper bath. Waiting all winter in obscurity. Not sure if people will take him seriously, if a movement will start. But he had resolute determination as the order of my spiritual master, the desire of Lord Chaitanya. This is a great pure devotee of the Lord, and this is our line. All devotees in Prabhupada society now and for all of time everlasting into the future, this is the mood to follow and to emulate. And it's based on scientific spiritual truth. The devotee feels no inconvenience or misery while performing his devotional service in any condition of this material world. Look what the first devotees in the former Soviet Union went through. The suffering, the pain, the injustice to found Srila Prabhupada's movement, which was transferred from Srila Prabhupada to one person, Ananta Shanti, who then transferred that incredible otherworldly devotional determination to others. The devotee of the Lord in Krishna consciousness has nothing for which to lament or desire. Since God is full, a living entity who is engaged in God's service in Krishna consciousness becomes also full in himself. So from that austerity that Prabhupada performed, Sri Sri Radha Govinda desired not only to come to give Srila Prabhupada their sublime association, but to create a yatra, to create a dham, a place of pilgrimage where many, many persons can come and get the companionship of other devotees and ultimately Sri Sri Radha Govinda themselves. So the pain and the austerity and the loneliness or whatever that you go through, if it's for the right reason, Krishna will reciprocate in a huge way for your benefit and for the benefit of all others. Because a devotee's austerity is not meant just for himself. The devotee undergoes austerity for the benefit of others. That is a fact. Since God is full, a living entity who is engaged in God's service and Krishna consciousness becomes also full in himself. He is just like a river cleansed of all dirty water. Because a pure devotee has no thought other than Krishna, he is naturally always joyful. He does not lament for any material loss or aspire for gain, because he is full in the service of the Lord. Just like Srila Prabhupada during that period talked to a Mr. Rubin, a retired subway conductor, on a park bench in one of those kiosks in between the southbound and northbound lanes of Broadway. Yes, there are temples filled up with devotees, but time is separating us from them. Because Krishna ordered it and Krishna desired it, it must come to pass. Must. One of the names of Krishna is Satya Sankalpa. Whatever he desires becomes absolute truth. He has no desire for material enjoyment. See, if you understand, why does he have no desire for material enjoyment in this regard? Here, Prabhupada is defining, because he knows that every living entity is a fragmental part and parcel of the Lord, and therefore an eternal servant. So it's a double entendre. Because you see everyone as spirit soul, a potential lost servant of the Lord, by that you have no material desire. Or only one who has material desire, free from all material desire, can see in that way. Therefore, preaching is the essence. Whatever is going on, you try your level best to get your consciousness together. But what do they have that saying in show business? The show must go on. What does Vaisheshekha Prabhu say? What is it? Just touch the pavement. Just get yourself out there. How much of a percentage does he say that's the victory? Just to touch the pavement? 90%? 99%. Wow, what am I, anxiety, and it's all gone. Prabhupada was the no anxiety. Different devotees say, oh, I want to schedule a meeting with Prabhupada, I have all these problems and this and that. And then I would come into Srila Prabhupada's association, and yes, I completely forgot what I was in anxiety about. I was just in ecstasy. The problems or the conditions, whatever, was still there, but then I was just lifted up to this position. It just didn't seem it was a problem anymore. Because Prabhupada saw everyone, not only as spirit, like it said, to know one is spirit soul, you have to go further. That's Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, Nasachati Nakangshati. He has no desire for material enjoyment because he knows that every living entity is a fragmental part and parcel of the Lord and therefore eternally a servant. He does not see in the material world someone is higher and someone is lower. Higher and lower positions are ephemeral, and the devotee has nothing to do with ephemeral appearances and disappearances. For him, stone and gold are of equal value. This is the Brahma Bhuta stage, and this stage is attained very easily by the pure devotee. In that stage of existence, the idea of becoming one with the Supreme and annihilating one's individuality becomes hellish. Prabodhananda Saraswati, in his epic Chaitanya Chandramrita, I believe it's verse number 5, he says, for a devotee engaged in the ecstasy of devotional service to the Lord Chaitanya, the idea of becoming one with the Supreme becomes a hellish nightmare. The idea of attaining the heavenly kingdom becomes phantasmagoria, and the senses are like the serpent's teeth that are broken. Actually, Prabhupada, he doesn't say in his purport, but he's paralleling those exact points from Prabodhananda Saraswati's verse. As there is no fear of a serpent with broken teeth, there is no fear from the senses when they are automatically controlled. The world is miserable with a materially infected person, but for a devotee, the entire world is as good as Vaikuntha, or the spiritual sky. Because yesterday we were in the Times Square 8th Avenue subway, the one near the Port Authority bus terminal. And it wasn't a work week, but at least 50 or more percent of everybody had like a wheelie suitcase because they're holiday, they're coming back, or going out, they're going back to where they... And I just tried to make a little count. It would be nice, maybe you get one of those like kind of thing that you put there and like it calculates how many people walk by, and I spent like a minute. I said, okay, I'm going to count all the people. And it was in between when a train came in. I counted like 150 people walked by in a minute. So what's that? 150 times 60 minutes. What is that? 7,500? Is that, huh? 9,000 an hour. So times 4. That's 27,000 people. Am I right? 9 times 4 is 36,000 people. And it wasn't even a weekday when there's a lot more people. Where else can you get that opportunity to chant the holy name and have 36, 40, 50,000 people walk past you? That's truly getting more bang for your buck. Or as Prabhupada coined the term, which is now very much true for his Vrindavan Krishna Balaram Mandir project, a lazy, intelligent preacher's paradise. Performing Harinam Sankirtan anywhere at any time is always good. That's a fact. But in terms of adding quantity to the quality, as Srinivasacharya glorifies the 6 Goswamis, by numerical strength, Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gananati B. Chanting the holy name by measurement. So by distributing the holy name to so many people. That makes this a devotional paradise. And we should encourage devotees from all over the world, and certainly from all over America, to come and experience this happiness. It's the happiness of Lord Chaitanya and all the predecessor acharyas and the contemporary devotees and those yet to appear, to be able to perform Harinam in such a dynamic way. The world is miserable. New York City is miserable for the New York City subway system. We would say, please join us on Harinam in the subway, and you can become a subterranean saint. In the subway, there is no need of moon or sunshine, or it is beyond the laws of nature, self-illuminating via the holy name. But for a devotee, the entire world is as good as Vaikuntha, or the spiritual sky. The highest personality in this material universe is no more significant than an ant for a devotee. Such a stage is achieved by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, who preached devotional service in this age. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam, Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Svayam Rupa Kadamayam, Didati Svam. When will the best devotee of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Rupa Goswami, when will Lord Chaitanya, who is established within this material world, the desire to fulfill the mission, how does it go? When will Srila Rupa Goswami, I'm getting a little amnesia here. Anyway, Lord Rupa Goswami, the exemplary disciple of Lord Chaitanya, was established within the material world, the mission to fulfill Lord Chaitanya's desire, give me shelter under his lotus feet. A devotee who is already liberated does not see differentiation in terms of the outward body. He sees all living entities as spirit souls, eternal servants of the Lord. Dhruva Maharaj was advised by Lord Manu to see with that vision. He was specifically advised to do so because he was a great devotee and should not have looked upon other living entities with ordinary vision. Indirectly, Manu pointed out to Dhruva that out of material affection, Dhruva thought of his brother as his kin and the Yakshas as his enemies. Such observation of differentiation subsides as soon as one is situated in his original position as an eternal servant of the Lord. So let us maintain and increase our family business of distributing Srila Prabhupada's books and distributing the book Come to Life, the Vidyavadu Jivanam, the holy name of the Lord, for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, who came to this city first to establish the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. All glories to his divine grace. All glories to Sri Sri Radha Govinda, Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol. Any questions or comments? Mic 'em up.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the amazing class. You were mentioning the point of Srila Prabhupada's reaction to them banning the mothers who had who were pregnant. I was reminded that
they had children.
Yeah, I was reminded of you telling me that the first building in Mayapur was actually the guest house. That it was Srila Prabhupada's guest house. Instead of the
Lotus
temple,
building,
the
residential facility.
Residential facility. And it seems that Srila Prabhupada had a devotee-first attitude versus then projects.
Correct.
So I was wondering that sometimes we get into the mood of our project needs to be successful, but how do we shift it towards the project is successful when the devotees are happy?
By taking care of the devotees as your most important priority. Like we brought forth that story history, not a story, of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, his reaction. A whole temple and math is being established. The dignitaries were coming. It was like, he's coming, and this is it. And like, where is such and such? He was just arguably like a minor, junior disciple. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, keep in mind, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, how did he get to be the disciple of Srila Gorkashore Das Babaji? Or what was the mood of his spiritual master, Gorkashore Das Babaji? Very reluctant to take a disciple. Why? He understood the very weighty commitment of accepting a disciple, that you take responsibility to take this disciple back home, back to Godhead. And if there's any difficulty or any impediment, you have to return, you personally, to reclaim that disciple till they go back home, back to Godhead. So equal, if not more important than the question, who is the bona fide spiritual master, who is the bona fide disciple? It came to the point where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Bimala Prasad Das at the time, was refused 2 or 3 times by Srila Gorkashore Das Babaji, and finally, weeping and weeping, he made the statement that unless I have your mercy, this life is no longer of value to me. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he's such a renowned scholar, famous personality. He was all his erudition and his scholarship and he was already famous all throughout Bengal. Many, many persons wanted to give him initiation to increase their fame and reputation. Refused. Gorkashore Das Babaji, by external consideration, was like, so he's understanding that, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, how important it is. He had given this person initiation, and his other disciples had driven him out. And from this instance, and we can see with Srila Prabhupada, it would be very easy for him to forgive an immorality, indiscretion, like breaking the regular principle, illicit sex, even one in the sannyasa order, compared to someone who had a philosophical deviation coming to the point where they're minimizing or offending Srila Prabhupada's position. That was, he saw as a very great danger, like a poisonous snake that can infect others. So we see in our own how difficult it is to make a devotee. You don't make a devotee, but that a devotee can come. And if there's some problem or we should be very careful not to, out of pride, false pride, or superiority complex, well, you don't want to cooperate with me, therefore you have no place to be here. We should go out of our way to, what should I say? I can think of a better word than compromise. Help me out. What other kind of word could use besides compromise, to try to find a way that we can bridge the gap, that you can keep serving? Accommodation. That's right. Prithu Prabhu was just had a memory in Prabhupada memory video series, Siddhanta, that Prabhupada came to the Schloss Redeshof in 1974. That was the temple outside of Frankfurt, Germany. And there was a new device, like a magnetic board. And different devotees were like different colored shapes, and they had different categories of services, and Prabhupada said, what is this? And Prithu explained that too, like we have this, and this is for management, and we can move this piece, this devotee from here to there, and then we have a good idea what everybody's doing, and this and that. And Prabhupada, oh, can I try? Because he never said, like, magnetic, okay, you take it, click, like that. And Prabhupada, he like, okay. And then he changed this expression and became very serious, said, all useless if there's no love and trust. Because we're here voluntarily. It's not like you see in a place where people are getting paid. They gotta, keep their mouths shut and just keep their eyes focused and, payday. Like, people you see like people at the job, in the office, they have to, like in Bryant Park, suit and tie, upper high class, the strain and the tension in these big skyscraper buildings and all these places. But then when they're walking on the street to go home, they're on their own time, and we try to be friendly. They're like, they just tighten up like, like an insect. They just go back into their shell, like a tortoise. Just, I don't want nothing to do. I'm not going to, I don't have, you're not paying me. I don't have to be nice to you. I don't have to cooperate with you. I don't have to hear what you have to say. Leave me alone. So the devotee society is completely the opposite of that. We want to associate with devotees because devotees remind us of Krishna. What is it? Machitamad gata pranam bodhayantas parasparam. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered unto me. Therefore they derive great satisfaction and bliss in enlightening one another. Enlightening. I'm going to enlighten you. I'm going to light you up like a Christmas tree, Prabhu. Wow. And you're going to experience ever new realizations and ecstasy in that association. It's the opposite. In the office, they experience newer and newer, old hackneyed, control and like, oh my goodness. And then when they get free of that, all they want to do is all they can think of is engaging in sense gratificatory diversions, whatever. So Devotees Association fosters wanting to go deeper, wanting to get more and more Krishna conscious. And that's all based on the missionary spirit to make this the predominant dharma of the planet. Hare Krishna. You want to add to that or subtract from that? Anyone else? Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri Radha Govinda Ki Jai.